If you've ever stood in the middle of a long rectangular living and dining room and thought, okay, now what? You're definitely not alone. Rectangle spaces are incredibly common, especially in apartments, condos, and modern homes, but they can feel tricky at first. They're not awkward because they're bad. They're awkward because they don't immediately tell you how they want to be used. The good news is that once you understand how these spaces flow, a rectangular living and dining room can actually be one of the most functional and stylish layouts you can have. The first thing to remember is that a rectangular room isn't asking you to fight its shape. It's asking you to work with it. Instead of trying to force symmetry or cram everything into the center, the magic happens when you lean into the length of the room. These spaces naturally lend themselves to zoning, which is really just a fancy way of saying that each area has a clear purpose without walls getting in the way. Most rectangular living and dining rooms work best when divided lengthwise, with one end dedicated to lounging and the other to dining. It sounds obvious, but the key is how you make that division feel intentional instead of accidental. Furniture placement does most of the heavy lifting here. A sofa placed perpendicular to the long wall can act like an invisible divider, especially if its back faces the dining area. Suddenly, you have two distinct zones without blocking light or making the space feel chopped up. Rugs are another game changer in rectangle rooms. A large area rug under the living room seating anchors that space and gives it visual weight. Then a separate rug under the dining table reinforces that this is its own zone. Even if both rugs are neutral, the simple act of defining the floor space helps your brain understand the layout. It's subtle, but it works every time. One of the biggest mistakes people make with long rectangular rooms is pushing all the furniture against the walls. It feels logical, like you're trying to open up the space, but it usually backfires. The room ends up feeling like a hallway with furniture stuck on the sides. Pulling furniture inward, even just a little, makes the space feel more intentional and more comfortable. In the living area, letting the sofa float with a console table behind it can add storage and style, while also helping define the room. When it comes to choosing furniture, scale matters a lot in rectangular spaces. Oversized furniture can overwhelm the room, while pieces that are too small can feel lost. The goal is balance. A long sofa works beautifully in a rectangular living area, especially when paired with one or two accent chairs instead of another bulky couch. This keeps the seating area open and allows for easier movement through the space. Dining areas in rectangular rooms often benefit from rectangular tables, which sounds obvious but is worth saying. A table that mirrors the shape of the room feels natural and proportional. If space is tight, a slimmer table or one with clean lines keeps the dining area from feeling cramped. Benches can be a great option too, especially along a wall, because they visually take up less space than chairs and make the room feel more streamlined. Lighting plays a huge role in making rectangular living and dining rooms feel cozy instead of stretched out. One overhead light in the center of the room usually isn't enough and can actually highlight the awkwardness of the shape. Layered lighting is your friend here. A statement pendant or chandelier over the dining table anchors that end of the room, while floor lamps, table lamps, or wall sconces create warmth in the living area. This separation of light sources reinforces the idea that these are two connected but distinct spaces. Color can also help guide the eye and subtly define zones. You don't need different paint colors for each area, but small shifts can make a difference. Maybe the living area has slightly darker tones through furniture and textiles, while the dining area stays lighter and airier. Or you might bring in a bold piece of art in the dining space and keep the living area more neutral. These visual cues help break up the length of the room without making it feel disjointed. Speaking of walls, long rectangular rooms often have a lot of wall space, which can feel intimidating. The trick is not to decorate every inch. In the living area, a gallery wall or a large piece of art can anchor the seating zone. In the dining area, a mirror or a simple piece of art keeps things balanced without competing for attention. Leaving some wall space empty is not a missed opportunity. It's what lets the room breathe. Storage is another thing to think about early on. Rectangle living and dining rooms often serve multiple purposes, so smart storage keeps clutter from taking over. Low-profile sideboards or buffets in the dining area provide a place for dishes and linens, while also acting as a visual anchor. In the living area, media consoles, shelving, or storage ottomans help keep things tidy without adding bulk. Flow is everything in a rectangular space. You want to be able to move easily from one end of the room to the other without weaving around furniture. Clear pathways make the room feel larger and more comfortable. When placing furniture, always think about how people will walk through the space, not just how it looks from one angle. If you constantly have to squeeze past a chair or table, it's a sign something needs to shift. Open-concept rectangular spaces often benefit from a unifying element that ties the living and dining areas together. This could be a consistent color palette, similar wood tones, or repeating shapes and materials. For example, if your dining table has black metal legs, incorporating black accents in the living area helps the space feel cohesive. It's these small connections that make the whole room feel intentional rather than random. If your rectangular living and dining room is on the smaller side, lighter colors and reflective surfaces can help it feel more open. Mirrors are especially useful in long rooms because they bounce light around and break up visual monotony. Placing a mirror on one of the longer walls can make the room feel wider, while a mirror at the end of the room can add depth. Plants are another great way to soften a long rectangular layout. A tall plant in a corner of the living area or near the dining space adds height and breaks up straight lines. Even smaller plants on shelves or tables bring life into the room and keep it from feeling too linear or stiff. For larger rectangular rooms, the challenge is often the opposite. Instead of feeling cramped, the space can feel too long and empty. In these cases, creating more defined zones is key. You might add a reading nook near a window, a bar cart between the living and dining areas, or a console table behind the sofa. These extra layers make the room feel rich and lived in, rather than like a big open box. The dining area doesn't have to be pushed all the way to the far end of the room if that doesn't feel right. Sometimes shifting it slightly toward the center creates a more balanced flow, especially if the living area benefits from being closer to windows or a TV wall. There's no single correct layout. The best one is the one that supports how you actually live. One thing people often overlook is ceiling height. If your rectangular room has high ceilings, you can use that vertical space to your advantage. Tall bookshelves, floor-to-ceiling curtains, or vertical art draw the eye upward and make the room feel more dynamic. If ceilings are lower, keeping furniture low profile and avoiding heavy overhead elements helps maintain an open feel. Personal style matters just as much as layout. A rectangular living and dining room should reflect who you are, not just what works on paper. Whether your style is modern, cozy, eclectic, or somewhere in between, the shape of the room doesn't limit your creativity. It just gives you a framework to build within. At the end of the day, rectangle living and dining rooms are incredibly versatile once you stop seeing them as a problem to solve and start seeing them as an opportunity. They give you space to create flow, define zones, and design a room that adapts to real life. With thoughtful furniture placement, layered lighting, and a few intentional design choices, a long rectangular space can feel balanced, inviting, and completely your own. It's not about making the room look perfect. It's about making it work for you and feel like home.